Hello class. Today we're going to talk about dividing decimals. Let's just do a quick little recap here of what our vocabulary is when we are looking at a division problem. So the first thing that I want to look at is what we're dividing up. We're dividing up the 12. I like to say that 12 is in our house. 12 is the dividend, and I like to say that the dividend lives within the house. So the dividend is what you're dividing up. The divisor is what you're dividing the dividend into. So you're taking the 12 and you want to divide it into 4 parts. So that is our divisor. The answer to our division problem is called the quotient. So that is our vocabulary for dividing. We can also look at that in another way. We can also look at dividing as a fraction. You learned that a fraction is just another way to show division. And we could also look at that as 12 divided by 4. Another way to look at that is with the division symbol, and we could also look at that as 12 divided by 4. And that equals 3, and I guess I should go up here to my fraction and say that 12 divided by 4 equals 3, so that is our quotient. So that's the 3 different ways to look at it. Now when you were in 5th grade last year, you learned how to divide decimals. All you had to do was, when you have a decimal in the dividend, all you had to do was take that decimal up and then just divide like you normally know how to do. So move the decimal up and then ask yourself, can 8 go into 3? No, it goes into it 0 times. And so then how many times does 8 go into 32? 4 times. Then multiply 4 times 8 is 32. And subtract and you get 0. And so once you have 0 as your remainder and nothing else to bring down, your answer is 0 and 4/10. So that's what you learned how to do last year. If there's a decimal in the dividend, you just move the decimal up and divide like you know how to do. But now let's take a look at number 2. There is no decimal in the dividend. However, there is a decimal in the divisor. You can never have a decimal in the divisor. You want that to look like a whole number. The way that you can make that look like a whole number is I can take that decimal and I can move it over one place all the way to the house. So now I can look at that as a 7. But if I move the decimal one place over in the divisor, I also have to be fair and do the same thing to the dividend. There's not a decimal there, so I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. Extend my house. So if I move it over once in the divisor, I have to move it over once in the dividend and then bring that decimal up and divide. I'm going to go ahead and put some placeholders here to help me remember to put something in each place. And then you divide. Start, can 7 go into 8? Well, sure, 7 fits into 8 one time. So 7 times 1 is 7. And then you subtract. 8 minus 7 is 1. And just bring down one number at a time. So bring down the 4. And then divide again. Can 7 go into 14? Well, sure, it fits into 14 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. And now you have 0. But you're not finished because there's still a 0 that you have to bring down. And then you divide again. How many times can 7 fit into 0? 0 times. And then when you multiply and subtract, now you're left with 0 and nothing left to bring down. So 84 divided by 0.7 is 120. Remember, when you are dividing decimals, and if there is a decimal in the divisor, you have to move it over, bring it up, and divide. One more time. You move it over, bring it up, and divide. I hope this helps you to divide decimals.